Hey everybody, welcome to our early comics review video. I'm Andy.
I'm Matt.
We're here with Infinity Flux Comics out of Chattanooga, Tennessee, and this is our big show where he shows some of the biggest and best books that are releasing this Wednesday to your local comic book store or to our website, infinityflux.net. Either one is a great option to get your books, so head on over to infinityflux.net right now. You can go ahead and order the books. That way you don't have to worry about them selling out. You don't have to worry about rushing to the store super early to make sure you get them. You are already good, you're already paid for, and you are set to go.
Yeah.
And there's some great books on the show this week you don't want to miss out on. So, for sure, go to infinityflux.net.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what we're saying. Make sure to like and subscribe to our channel. We are so close to 4,000 subscribers. We would love to make you one of those, be part of our awesome comics family. We love interacting with everybody. We have our live shows just to do that, where we can talk back and forth. We love answering your comments in the comment section, all that good stuff. So make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on any of our shows. And let's get going with this show.
Yeah. So we are going to start with Absolute Superman number 5. And this is just as good as all the other issues as Absolute Superman. So, what's cool about this issue is this shows us the final days of Krypton, including the planet actually exploding. And we all knew that was going to happen, right? But this story is a little bit different because we know that in this story, the Science Guild of Krypton actually knew that it was going to happen, and they didn't do anything about it. And they tried to silence anybody who was talking about it, namely Jor-El. And we do see Jor-El and Lara and Kal-El kind of fight back against the Science Guild while also trying to escape the planet, trying to gather up survivors to get on their ship with them. And that's what I've been really excited about this ever since issue number 1, when we found out that, oh my gosh, Kal-El spent part of his life on Krypton. He grew up with his parents, at least for, I don't know, 12 years or so. He spent that time on Krypton with his parents. And I've been wondering, like, what happened to him? What happened? Did the planet really explode? Did his parents make it off the planet with him? Did anybody else survive? And we do kind of get answers to those questions, but I'm not going to tell you everybody got away or nobody got away. I'm not going to tell you that, but we do get some answers in this, which is really cool. So it's just neat to see, you know, the I don't know. This whole thing has been different, and so it's kind of neat to see a different take on this destruction of
And now
Krypton.
we've kind of seen the full origin story, at least
Up to Krypton.
the Kryptonian part of it.
I don't know what else they could go back to. So I feel
No.
like the Krypton part of this story is finished as of this issue, but there is still more to come. We know the next issue is going to be about Kal-El, or I guess Clark, his time in Smallville with the Kents, because we don't know anything about that. So that'll be sort of the next piece of his kind of origin story. We also, in this issue, do get a little bit of Superman in present day on Earth, as he is scouring the planet for Chris Smith, who is Peacemaker, or we know him as the one and only Peacemaker in the original DC universe. In this universe, he's one of many Peacemakers working for the Lazarus Corporation. So he is trying to find Chris Smith because he murdered a bunch of innocent people in the previous issue, and he's really mad. I won't tell you what happens with that whole subplot, but he is really, really mad and really wants to find Chris Smith. I mean, that's it. I can't tell you much more without spoiling everything. Like I said, I loved seeing the final moments of Krypton and what happens with that. I can't wait for you guys to see it. Artwork is gorgeous. The colors are amazing. Everything like that. And yeah, I mean, continues to be my favorite of the Absolute books, including the 3 new ones that aren't out yet. We've already read those, and as good as those are, this one's still just like has its hooks in me completely. I love this story and the differences and the mysteries that we still have and all that kind of stuff. So another amazing issue of Absolute Superman. If you've been enjoying that you definitely do not want to miss this one. So we have our A cover right here, and we've got some cool variants. We have this Sean Gordon Murphy variant, him holding up a big tank. We've got this Jay Lee Jay Lee variant. We have this 1 in 25 Derek variant.
Robertson.
Is it Derek Robertson? Yeah. We're selling this one for $12.99. of him going after a lot of peacemakers there. And we have this 1 in 50 Sean Gordon Murphy Virgin variant that we're selling for $24.99.
Yeah, I'm very excited because, it does feel like we've got most of our answers about Krypton,
Mhm.
but it's still just getting
Oh
started.
yeah, there's so much more we don't know yet.
Yeah, there's even stuff that in this one that's not completely clear about what has happened.
Right.
And I'm looking forward to maybe being some surprises.
Yeah, because depending on how that goes, that could open up a lot more interesting stories. So
Yeah.
I mean, they are just only scratching the surface of the potential of this book.
Yep. Well, first off for me is our next of the do these have like a subtitle?
No,
Not really.
not really. I've just been calling them like the series of team up books or something.
Yeah.
Even though I wouldn't say this is a team up book, they
No.
don't really team up.
But these are the J. Michael Straczynski written weird Marvel character team up spectaculars. This one is Nick Fury versus Fang Foom, and this is by J. Michael Straczynski and Elena Casagrande, whose art is fantastic in this.
Hmm.
And after reading this, I want a Nick Fury book like this. I put Nick Fury versus like supernatural things
Yeah.
back in the past. So in this, it is 1940. Nick Fury has both eyeballs.
Hmm.
And this is pre-America entering World War II, but it's right on the cusp of that, as America is kind of helping out in ways, but they don't want to make it obvious yet. And one of those ways is sending planes flown by former military, but are no longer, so they don't really have any ties to them.
Yeah, they said that way they can say, oh, well, there were civilians acting on their own accord,
Yeah.
but they have military experience. Yeah.
And at this point, Nick Fury he's done some missions. This takes place set after Sergeant Fury and his Howling Commandos number 34, which I didn't go in to look and see what that was, but apparently he'd done a mission for what's his name, Happy Sam Sawyer, who's kind of like the guy who gives him his missions. Nick Fury is actually doing like uh aerial
Like an aerial
acrobatic.
stunt show.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's doing that when he's approached by Happy, who has another job he needs for Nick Fury. Nick Fury's like, last time you promised me I wouldn't be punching Nazis, and I'm punching Nazis again, and I'm just getting really tired of you kind of like misleading me. And Happy tells him like, yeah, but we have a job that specifically like calls for your expertise. And he tells him about these planes that have actually gone missing in China as they are trying to help out, and that they need Nick Fury basically to go in there and figure out what happened to these planes because there's been no word of them being shot down.
Mhm.
They just kind of disappear. They do say one thing has happened with them, but I won't get into that. But it's interesting. So Nick Fury agrees to go. You do see some other familiar Nick Fury adjacent characters in this, that's really fun. But he heads to the place. He gets in a little plane that's a little bit more maneuverable. But he is warned before he goes that one of the locals says that the planes were attacked by a cloud with teeth, and you can only imagine with a book like Nick Fury versus Fing Fang Foom of what that is. So I won't get into too much of the kind of heavy lifting of yes, it is these two versus each
Yeah.
other. Uh, One, the art is phenomenal. There's a two-page spread that is awesome, but there is more to this when Nick Fury finds Fing Fang Foom's cave that he's been hiding out in and what mysteries lurk there. And all of this, you will see Nick Fury deciding to rejoin the military and what is it that causes him to do that. And then I thought the last couple of pages were pretty heart stopping
Yeah.
when you realize what's going on. But
Yeah, this does act kind of as a prequel of sorts
yeah,
to Fin Fang Foom's first appearance, and also I thought that this took place before he ever formed the Howling Commandos, but is
yeah,
it in the middle of?
it's in the middle of that because
Okay,
he knows Dum Dum Dugan
yeah, and
and
Gabe,
yeah, and some of the other ones. And it does say at one point that it does take place after issue
okay,
34.
yeah,
So it's like he's established them, but then he's kind of backed off a
yeah.
little bit. But overall, this is a fantastic issue. It's really fun. It's a really cool setting with, once again, characters that you wouldn't expect to see together, but it forms a really cool, almost like a classic like serial adventure
Yeah,
story
yeah,
of military guy versus dragon.
yeah. It
And
feels it feels like it could have been, a Weird Tales book from the 50s or
yeah,
something like that.
but very very cool. I'm very excited to continue this series because so far each of these one shots have been a really nice treat. They all kind of present something new and a new take on
Yeah,
something, but actually does a lot of character development
yeah.
as well.
Yeah, and it's completely detached from
Yeah,
anything else in the Marvel universe. You could pick up this one issue and read it without knowing anything about anything,
yeah.
and it's really fun.
It does tell you at one point like that next time you see Fang Foom will be in what ends up being his first
Right, right.
appearance, which is always really cool when
Yeah,
this is kind of takes place in between.
yeah, and it's cool seeing Fin Fang Foom because when is the last time we've even seen him?
Yeah,
Like, it's been, I don't even know how many years it's been and what that was, but it was just cool seeing him again,
yeah, and he can kind of like psychically
Yeah,
talk
yeah.
and everything. It's really really cool.
Hmm.
So highly recommend this one because it's just great with your comic pile for the week. You've got your continuing series, but throw in a one shot and just have fun exploring this world for just a one issue
Yeah.
thing. So there is your A cover, which is awesome.
And I think it's a little oversized, not by
It
much,
might
but I don't
be,
think it's just 22 pages. It might be like 30 pages or
yeah.
something.
And we also have this Elena Casagrande variant, which your interior art looks like that. This is colored a little bit different.
Yeah.
It's a little bit more traditional inside, but it does look like that. And then our next one we're getting is it shows at the end of this. The next one we're getting is Hulk and Doctor
Yeah.
Strange, but also Agatha Harkness
And
and
Aunt May.
and Aunt May teamed
Yeah.
up. So that's gonna be fun. But the next one doesn't come out, I think, until May
Oh,
or
really?
something.
Oh, that's a
There's kind of
bummer.
a gap in them.
Yeah, that one's going to be cool because Defenders, and the little bit at the back that talks about the next issue does kind of reference the former Defenders, and yeah,
Yeah.
that's going to be really cool. All right, so next up is Assorted Crisis Events #1. This has been getting a bunch of hype for a while now, and it's finally here. So this is written by Denise Camp, who is your writer on the Ultimates and the upcoming Absolute Martian Manhunter, which we've read, and it's really really cool. And the art is by Eric Zawadski. Now, this book is a bit hard to explain. You
Mhm.
really just kind of need to read it to really understand what I'm talking about. And what when we talked about this book on Comics from the Future about a month ago, I had already read it and I tried to explain it. That's also the day I was sick. And after that video, I remember thinking I did a terrible job explaining it. So I'm going to try to do a little bit better now. But
But if
um,
you don't do better,
right.
you have nothing to fall
Oh
back on.
man, I'm gonna be sick again. So Denise Camp has described this as Crisis on Infinite Earths if it happened to just normal people on the street, and I can see that. So basically, time and space is completely broken, and everything from every point in time is all happening at once. But this book isn't about how that starts. That it has already started in this book.
Mhm.
Like it's already happening, and people who are living in the world are already accustomed to it. It's just
Yeah.
already
So
exists
it's
here.
it's been a little while at
Yeah,
least.
it's been a little while. So, to give you an example, the main character in this issue is a woman named Ashley, and she gets these alerts on her phone that says like, temporal event, avoid temporal event, or something like that. And she gets one notification that says, 4 city blocks have disappeared, and in their place is some prehistoric swampland. And things just phase out, and it's other things phase in, and you have dinosaurs mixed with futuristic soldiers and just anything. I mean, time is definitely not linear in this book. It's just a hodgepodge of things like that. And so this is an anthology story, but the main story of this issue in particular is that there is this post-apocalyptic movie that's being filmed outside of Ashley's apartment building. And the explosions from the special effects cause her clock to fall off. Her clock that her parents gave her falls off the shelf and it breaks. So she is trying to find somebody who can fix it because that clock is very special to her. And as we follow her on her quest to try to find somebody to fix it, that's where we see the craziness
Mm.
of the world all around her. So, um, like there's one part where a guy who died years ago all of a sudden just appears on the sidewalk, but he's a little bit out of phase with reality, and his spouse, his the widow, she's like, oh my gosh, there's my husband, but she can't touch him because he's
Mm.
out of phase. It's things like that that happen in this. There's flying cars that fly over horses and carriages. There are these Mad Max looking bad guys who mug homeless people, and it's just absolute chaos like that. But everybody is just used to it. Like, it's just a part of life now. There's even a part where I like this part. There's a part where Ashley goes to work, but her boss says that he's never heard of her because her office is currently in phase with another reality where she doesn't exist. So as you can see, time, space, it's all just completely mixed together instead of being time as in the past, present, future, and different dimensions. It is all just in one big bowl essentially. So like I said, it is a little bit hard to explain. Once you read it though, you will understand it. It's not like after I read this and I was not confused at
Mm.
all. You'll totally understand when you read it. It's hard to talk about. But when you see the visuals and everything, it makes a lot more sense. The artwork in this is really cool. Eric Zawadzki gets to draw all kinds of different stuff. Like I said, dinosaurs and cybernetic soldiers and futuristic cars and prehistoric things all mixed together. And I actually really liked the main character of Ashley in this. But like I said, and it's cool because there's almost they almost jump out, kind of like introduce a mystery of where did her parents go. She
Mm.
said they just vanished one day. She's at their gravesite, but says they're not actually in there because they just vanished, and I have no idea where they went. I hired a private investigator who says that he saw them in 1840 because again time is
Mhm.
all mixed together, but she said that's actually pretty common for people to just vanish. And so she's like, I don't know where they went, but I sure do miss them. And I was like, oh, maybe that would be a cool like main story of the overall series, but this is an anthology book, so I do believe that next issue is a whole separate set of characters and a whole separate set of events. I don't know if we'll see the main character of this story again or not, but it's really cool. The artwork's really cool. It's just a unique story. It's just not like anything else. The only thing I think this guy might be the only kind of recurring character. He's kind of a homeless
Is
guy.
he the ice cream man of this?
Kind of, he's one of the, he's on the street. He's a homeless guy, and he's on the street talking about, oh, time is ending and things like that. And the police take him away, and she says, Ashley Cross, she says, well, you can't do that because um, he's got freedom of speech or whatever. And they
Yeah.
say, actually, he had, according to our records, he hasn't been born yet. So, which means he doesn't technically have any rights. He's like, the cop said, we even had a whole course about this. So we know how to handle it. So it's just a really cool. It's a unique story and definitely worth checking out. And I believe it's maybe 40 pages. It's definitely
Okay.
not your
Yeah.
typical 22. I think it's larger than that. Really cool. So if you want to check out something a little bit different, definitely check this one out. So this is your A cover right here, and we have this really cool Morian variant right there too. That's Ashley right there on the cover. And there's your homeless guy. And see, there's bulls running down the street, and there's that guy, whatever he's doing, and it's craziness.
So do we know? Is this ongoing or is this
I
the
I
mini?
think it's ongoing.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it's ongoing. Yeah.
Well, next up for me, I've got a Star Wars Legacy of Vader #2, and I loved issue #1 of this. It's so cool to get a Star Wars book that uh, is following the after or between some of the sequel trilogy, where we've got so many series set uh, between A New Hope and Empire Return of the Jedi. This is branching out. And so, of course, it's the series where Kylo is kind of following the footsteps of Vader to try to understand what made Vader the entity, the powerhouse that he was. And he is teamed up with Vanny, or I'm not sure if that's exactly how you say his name, but Vanee, and he was like the custodian of Vader's castle who has been there this whole time, and now he's kind of this weird like head in a jar type character.
What is this, Futurama?
I know, but in this one, they have gone to Tatooine where Vinay says like, this is a really important spot for Anakin Skywalker, Darth Vader, and Kylo's kind of like, I don't really think so. I think Mustafar is, that's where he became Darth Vader. Why aren't we doing more there? All of that. Uh, but upon exploring, Anakin's hometown and all of that, uh, he's told like, this is where Vader really started to be created with the death of his mother, where he was recruited into the Jedi Order, and also where he was bought and sold as a slave. And Kylo's like, "You're telling me Darth Vader was a slave?" And he's like, "Oh yeah." And Kylo's like, basically, Kylo has this idea of Vader that yes, Vader, I mean, is the like most powerful Sith, all of that, but he's got this version of like this spotless character, and to learn that like he was a slave, that's not right. And he kind of learns a little bit more about who was his slave owner and all of that, and decides, I don't like this part of Vader's history. I'm going to erase it from his story
Hmm.
by finding who owned him, who is still on the planet, and destroying them and any record that he was ever a slave there.
So wait, he's talking about Anakin being a slave when he was a kid.
Yeah.
So is he talking about Watto? Is he gonna find Watto?
So Watto is brought up, but there was
Okay.
someone who owned him before Watto
Oh,
did.
okay.
There was some images from this issue that came out, I think almost even before issue 1 came out, of Vader killing Watto.
Really?
But it is implied that maybe that didn't happen.
Okay.
But you'll have to read it to find out exactly who and what. And this story isn't wrapped up in this issue. This part of the story is at least going to be the next issue at least.
Okay.
But it was a really cool issue. It's really cool they returned to the pod race track on Tatooine, where that's where he kind of learns a little bit more about his grandfather and all of that. But just really cool. I love returning to these places, but it's been so many years past that, how things changed and who rules these areas now. Very, very cool issue with issue number 2. And we've got a couple of variants for this. So we have this Betsy Cola Women's Appreciation Month variant with Ray. We've got this really awesome Alan Qua variant with Kylo. And we have a 1 in 25 David Lopez cover that's really cool with him. And this does happen in the book.
Nice.
That we are selling for $22.99.
All right. Well, next for me is Green Lantern Corps number 2, and this is full of really cool Green Lantern action that you want, like out in space, doing all kinds of stuff. So, John Stewart, Kilowog, Razor, and Hawkwoman, they all travel to Thanagar to assess the damage there, because back in the Green Lantern Civil Corps special, the one shot, Mogo, who was still kind of under the control of, I want to say it was the Red Lantern, the red emotional energy, I think, blew up Thanagar, and not completely to smithereens, but took a big chunk out of it. And they all had to evacuate and everything. So they all go back to Thanagar to see, hey, what is there anything we can salvage? Is there anything we can do here? But when they get there, they see that there is a big ship that's drilling into what's left of the planet, and they're trying to get at this huge, huge deposit of nth metal that's at the center of the planet. So John and Hawkwoman go to investigate that ship, and they are surprised to find that Atrocitus is running the whole operation. And that's not a spoiler; that was in the solicitations. But of course, the Red Lantern battery, the power battery, has been destroyed along with all the other colors except for the green. So Atrocitus doesn't have his ring and his suit.
I was going
to
ask about that. Yeah. So he's casual wear. Atrocitus.
Well, he does have a way. There is a way that he has something. Okay. He's not just like throwing fists. He's got something that he's using. So so John and Hawkwoman tangle with him. Meanwhile, over here you have Razor and Kilowog. They actually travel down the giant hole, and they end up facing against some of Atrocitus's goons, and Sorrow is there as well. So they get into a big brouhaha. And from there, like, the whole action is just the whole issue is all of them just fighting. And it's the kind of fighting that you want to see out of a Green Lantern book, with constructs and making armor constructs and just all kinds of cool stuff. So it's just a really fun comic book But there is something at the end that happens that I like made my eyes get real big, and it makes me really want to see the next issue. But obviously, I'm not going to tell you what it is. But yeah, so the first issue is great. This issue is great. It's really nice to have the Green Lantern Corps back. The only thing I didn't like is I just do not like Jon Stewart's new costume.
Yeah.
I don't like it. Other than that, like everything's perfect except for that. I think it's kind of ugly. But yeah, it's nice to that Jon Stewart's leading the team, and Kilowog has some great moments.
Great.
So it's great to have him back, and yeah. So yeah, just a great issue of Green Lantern, and it fits in really well with the other Green Lantern book. It's all of it is just really cool. So there's our A cover right there, and we got some cool variants. This is from Ariel Olivetti. That's Kyle Rayner. Kyle Rayner is not in this book, but he does play a pretty big part over in the other Green Lantern book. So Kyle Rayner fans, check that out. This is really cool. So this is the acetate cover to the A cover, but the acetate part is Guy and Kilowog and the spray paint. And if you open it up, it's just a poster that's kind of like Kilowog wants you to join the Corps, So it's not all the graffiti. So that's really cool. That's a nice little touch there. And we have this 1 in 25 Gavin Guidry variant that we're selling for $14.99. Most of these lanterns are not, actually, none of these lanterns are in this issue in particular, except for Jon Stewart, but they are going to, figure into the book at some point.
Well, I have a new book from Mad Cave. This is Dark Pyramid #1. This is by Paul Tobin and PJ Holden. And this is really interesting. So, the solicitation for this kind of explained everything that happens in issue 1, except for towards the end. But I'll get into it because it's about a big streamer, kind of a YouTube streamer type character named Hooky Hidalgo, who I guess they don't say too much about like what his hook is on his streaming channel. I'm guessing it's like adventuring. I think that's what the solicitation said. He doesn't mention that in here, but it's not out of the ordinary that he is climbing Mount Denali in Alaska, and he's streaming it, and he's kind of like one of those streamer bros who's like and subscribe.
Oh yeah.
Oh, all this stuff. But at one point he slips, he falls, but he lands on kind of a ledge where there's a big opening into the mountain, and there's pillars there and strange like hieroglyphic writing. He even mentions that the rocks that are there aren't native to the mountain. He's like, oh, this is weird. This is not. So it makes me think he is kind of either an adventurer or a geological type guy. But he's like, the whole time he's streaming, he's like, I've got to check this out. But he drops his phone, and it breaks the screen or breaks the camera, but there's still audio. He's like, oh, okay, I'm going to narrate as I go in. Okay. But that quickly stops. And you do see everybody like around the world watching this, and they're all like, some people are sitting on the toilet, some people are working out. They're all like, apparently he's got a big following.
While he's narrating, do you see him? Or are you seeing everybody else and you just hear his words?
You just hear his, okay. You just see what he's saying.
So we're as much in the dark as everybody else. Okay.
But we know that he is venturing into this thing when all of a sudden his transmission stops and everyone is concerned. But he was also talking to, he knew his girlfriend was in the live stream as he was doing all this. And he's like, oh, sorry for doing stuff so dangerous. I'm sure she's mad at me or something like that. And you see her name is Becca. And when all this goes silent, she realizes something is really wrong. And thankfully, I think she must have a platform as well because she streams as well. And she, like, people donate money so she can go to Alaska to investigate what happened. I think it's like 36 hours later or something that she's there looking into it. And she starts asking around the town that is below Denali. And everyone's being really weird. One of the things they're mad about is this guy had such a big streaming following that a bunch of fans have gone there and booked up all the rooms. Oh. And they're kind of being like obnoxious, and the people there don't like them. They don't care if she knows him or not. They just know, oh, she's here because of him. Yeah. And there's no place.
And there's a bunch of other people that go to try to find him too?
Yeah, but apparently they're not really looking. They're just like, this is the spot where this happened, so we're all going to hang out here. Okay. and she even goes to the police there and everything, and they're like, we really can't do anything. There's a storm coming in. It's too dangerous. The helicopters can't get up there because of the storm. You're gonna have to wait. And she's like, I'm not. I'm gonna venture up there by myself. Uh, but then all of a sudden, some police officer come to her and be like, "Oh, hey, we heard you were looking for a room. There's a cabin that's up a little bit closer to the mountain. You'll actually be closer to your investigation if you want to stay there." And this whole time she's streaming and everything. So she's like, "Okay, it's weird, but I'll go." It turns out it's a really nice big cabin. But something weird starts happening, and I won't get into it, but it seems like maybe the people there know more than they're letting on, and something may also be coming out of the mountain that is whispering to her. So
Mm.
some pretty creepy stuff going on. That's just like the first half of the book.
Oh wow. Okay.
Like this starts like page 2 is where he's going into the mountain.
Yeah.
Like it takes no time to get this thing started. Uh, but there's a lot of like intrigue, what's going on towards the end, and we know there's going to be. I don't know if the Dark Pyramid is the mountain being a pyramid, or if there's a pyramid inside the mountain. Not quite sure yet, but it's shaping up to be a really cool kind of supernatural mystery.
I know. I wish I'd read this. I didn't read this one, but
Yeah, it's really
it
fun, and I'm looking forward to the next issue of it.
Yeah.
So there is your A cover.
How's the artwork?
The artwork is good. I would say it's cartoony, but it's not like hyper realistic or anything.
Yeah, that's all. I like that.
It's still got almost like a book like Nailbiter or something.
Oh, yeah.
Like it's got things could be the proportions could be a little off and it still looks
fine.
okay.
It's art.
Here is your McRae variant, which you might see something that maybe comes out of the mountain. Very creepy.
Okay. I have All New Venom number 4. This one just continuing the mystery of who is the all new Venom, and it's still kind of continuing the non-story. Like the only real story in this book so far has been who is Venom. There's not really like a thing. Venom himself is not trying to stop a certain thing from happening. It's nothing like that. It's just
there's kind of a story going on around it with Madam Mask and MODOK.
Right. And we do get more of that in this.
There's a scene with MODOK that was phenomenal.
Yeah, it's great. I loved
every second of it. It is very goofy.
Yeah.
But also like, I don't know. His plan is pretty funny.
So the whole thing kicks off with Madam Mask live streaming. Speaking of live streaming, live streaming herself, killing an innocent person in order to draw out AIM. She's like, "Hey guys,
it's brutal.
I'm here. Come get me." And she tries to, so the AIM soldiers come out and they all get into a big fight, but Venom shows up to stop it, because that's all Venom's really been doing is like showing up to stop fights between Madam Mask and AIM. So she shows up to stop them all, and the whole sequence is really cool. And like you said, there is a really kind of funny, bizarre, but in a good way, couple little panels and sequences and things that happen.
MODOK has a plan. And it's a really goofy plan, but it's like, I get it.
Yeah.
But, wow, it's kind of a reach.
Yeah. It's really cool. So, it like I said, some fun imagery. And then after this big fight happens, which actually most of the issue, there is another suspect that is eliminated. And that means that by process of elimination, we should know who Venom is by now. But we don't. We still don't know. They still didn't say.
The book isn't like, ta-da, if it's not this person, then it's this person. It's like, no, the book just is like, okay, there's all of them.
Yeah. So, we know that next issue we're going to find out who it is. I still think it's Paul. That is not confirmed in this at all. That's just my own guess. I think
Paul's in this issue at all.
This this issue is 100% Paul free, so that makes it the best issue of the series. If you want to make
this the first issue you get because of that, we understand.
Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, even though 3 out of the 4 suspects have been eliminated, there's still a bit of a mystery. Like, who is Venom?
3 of 4 are eliminated, but no confirmation who Venom is.
Yeah, is Venom that 4th person or not? I don't know. Honestly, we don't know based on this. But the person who is eliminated in this, it's not just like, well, it's not me, see you later. There is a little something extra. There's a little bit of something extra.
it's not me, but
Yeah, there's a little something extra that adds a little bit into the story that has not been there before.
Mhm.
So, and I was like, okay, I want to know more about that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, also mentioned this has anti-venom in it.
a
It's
little bit. Yeah,
it,
Flash
but
Thompson.
we haven't really seen him
Yeah,
since the Venom
Venom War.
War,
Yeah,
and you get a little update of like what's he been up to.
yeah. So, just more wackiness that this series has been, putting out over the last couple months. And next issue, we will know, and I guess we'll know on Friday when we see the spoiler cover.
Yeah.
But we won't tell you when that happens. But yeah, I mean, still, but artwork, Carlos Gomez, fantastic,
Fantastic. There,
absolutely
that part
gorgeous.
with Modoc, that sequence, is just awesome,
Yeah,
and
it's phenomenal.
it's really fun.
Mhm.
All the AIM guys look so cool
Yeah,
in their armor and
yeah,
all that, and yeah, I still really enjoy this. And Venom series, I'm can take or leave. I don't always buy a Venom series because it's Venom.
yeah.
Uh, but this one has been unique enough. At least this first volume, until we find out who he is, I
Mhm.
think has been a really solid,
It's been
interesting
Yeah,
story.
it's been a fun comic book.
Yeah,
That's like it's just it's not slapstick goofy, but it's not dark and serious like Venom has been for the last 5 6 years. It's just fun. Like
yeah,
it's really fun. So yeah, I recommend it if you're a Venom fan. So there's our A cover right there, and we have this Peach Momoko variant right there, and we have this Delato variant. I haven't seen the Delato cover in a while. I
yeah.
feel like so yeah, that's really cool looking.
I would mind. I don't know, of course, who this Venom is going to end up being, but I would like to see Spider-Man tussle with this Venom at some point. I
Yeah,
think that'd be cool. I think
It's
his
been it's been too long since Spider-Man and Venom have either fought each other or at least even interacted, you
yeah,
know.
and not be
Well, I
also
guess that's not true. Venom War was part of that was but
yeah, but not surrounded by 500
yeah,
other
right.
Venoms like a classic, like swinging through the city,
Yeah.
that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
Well, next up, I have Aquaman number 3. Of course, Aquaman is my favorite character, and I am really enjoying the series, but it is a very different Aquaman book. I've read pretty much everything Aquaman, and this one definitely stands out as a unique take on
Mhm.
not necessarily Aquaman. This is the Aquaman but the setting is so different. So Aquaman's still trying to figure out where he is. He doesn't have any answers yet. He's in this world that we assume is the blue, the kind of culmination of the the essence of water
Right.
as a world, just like the green and the red. This is the blue. We still don't know 100% what that means, but the two travelers he's with uh basically say, "Hey, if you just help us get up this mountain, basically this ice glacier, we'll tell you when we get to the top." And the beginning of this is basically Aquaman climbing up, getting to the top, and be like, "Okay, I want answers." So like he takes one step up there, and it's like, "Okay, you got to tell me." Um, but when they get there, at the top of this is Vivian, who is the character we were introduced last issue that Aquaman helped, and kind of essentially she's the Lady of the Lake, but her name's Vivian, I believe. Um, this is her home where they eventually get to, and they're like, okay, we'll explain this to you. It's still not going to make a whole lot of sense, but they do basically give him the origin of what the blue is, how it came about, and how important it is, as kind of, the water runs through all life and all planets and all dimensions and everything. And it's super important, but something has happened to it, and that is because of the big villain for, I guess, this first story arc or this series or whatever, Dagon, who we do see in this is
Mhm.
a you can tell just the way he's presented, he's a big
Yeah.
threat. He's
So
a
I get, and this is his first appearance. Right?
I
I couldn't
believe
find anything
so.
else about him, so I think this is his first
Yeah,
appearance.
I couldn't. I reading all of Aquaman and everything. I maybe the name Dagon has been used just because it's a old Babylonian god, and then
Yeah.
Lovecraft used
Well,
Dagon,
the only
and
thing I could find, at least from DC, is there was a villain in Teen Titans named Dagon, but
mm,
it was not this
no, this
Dagon.
guy's very unique
Yeah,
looking.
right. It wasn't this guy at all. Yeah.
So Aquaman does learn about kind of what the threat is and the current state of things. But they do say, and we got a hint of this in the previous issues. They believe he is kind of uh, there's a prophecy. They believe he is kind of the catalyst of that to bring down Dagon and revive the blue and all of that. But they say like he does need a weapon. He doesn't have his trident. He doesn't have anything like that. So they need to forge him a new weapon, which is a part I'm really excited about because we don't even really see what the weapon is in this, just the forging of it. But of course, this is not an actionless issue. Something does happen that is going to propel the story forward and may see Aquaman come face to face with Dagon in the next issue. So very excited for that. You see on the cover here, Aquaman's got some dark side Omega symbol eyes. It is addressed in here that maybe even Aquaman doesn't know what he is. That maybe he is a embodiment of something. But we'll have to keep reading to find out. So a very interesting issue. It does take you reading it a little bit slower to fully digest everything, and I do need to go back and read the previous issues just to fully understand because it is a pretty wild story.
Yeah.
But very cool. John Tim's art is
phenomenal.
phenomenal.
Oh, the artwork is so good. Yeah, and I'll just say that I love this issue. Admittedly, I was a bit confused.
Yeah.
It's a little confusing, but I do think that by the time issue 4 or 5 comes out, and once we get those answers, I think it'll all gel together really well. But right now, it's like I don't really know what's going on.
Yeah, there's also a really cool part that's kind of a flashback between Aquaman and his dad, and what it means to be a lighthouse keeper.
That was my favorite part.
Yeah, that part is really good, and the importance of his dad's job, and kind of how that is kind of a life mantra for Aquaman going forward. So, really cool issue. Still loved it, but yeah, I mean they are definitely building a pretty complex foundation for this new era of Aquaman. So that is your A cover. We also have quite a few other really cool covers. This is the Gidry cover. Very cool. I love the look of Aquaman in this. It's kind of my favorite look for Aquaman.
Yeah.
Is the beard, but with the traditional orange.
I think his pants and his gloves are black though. I do not think they're green.
I don't know. I think they're still green, but they are a very blue seafoam dark color. We've got the Sweeney Boo cover. This does not happen. That more happened in like issue 1 when he fought the water monster. We also have a this is the Jenny Prison variant. Very nice with Mara, who has only been in the first issue of this so far. And we have the Tula Lotte Mara cover as well. Oh, and we do have an incentive. This is the Salvador LaRocca 1 in 25 variant. We're selling for $19.99. And I don't know necessarily this mermaid appears in this, but there are mermaids in this, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, next up, I've got Iron Man number 6, and I want to talk about this one because this is the start of a new story arc called The Insurgent Iron Man. And if you notice, it has the One World Under Doom banner across the top. And this one I do feel like does have the potential to maybe play at least some kind of importance in the overall One World Under Doom storyline. More so than maybe a couple other was like Doom Academy didn't really have much to do other than the kids were at this Doom Academy instead of Strange Academy. But this one does feel like it might add a little bit to the overall story. So Tony Stark travels to Russia to speak with the leader of the Latvian opposition army. Basically, there's a group of soldiers still active in the Latvian army, but who oppose Doom. And so they kind of want to take him out from the inside. So Tony Stark goes to talk to the leader of that group. And they start working on a plan. And the first several pages are pretty dialogue heavy with the plan that they're trying to lay out. But they are trying to work on a plan to overthrow Doom from within Latveria because he's still got that dome over the place, right? They can't get through it. So they're going to try to take him out from within. But while they're doing all this planning, and like I said, there's a lot of just like talking about, oh, maybe we should bring missiles here and this and that and the other thing. While they're making this plan, they are interrupted by a group of, I don't want to tell you who it is because I turned the page and thought, oh, it's cool that it's those people. But they are interrupted by a group of pretty well-known Marvel characters who are loyal to Russia and Doom. And most of the rest of this issue is them fighting. And it's actually really cool. We get another character that shows up that Tony is surprised to see there, but it actually kind of makes sense that that character is there, and they help him out. We get a really cool double page spread of Tony like putting his armor on and pulling out his sword and
Mhm.
like blasting him with it. Like, and so it's so the back half of this is very action packed with some which I kind of well the series has been pretty action packed, but this one was really cool. The characters that he's fighting, I really liked it a lot. Yeah, like I said, this does with especially with the way this ended. I definitely want to read the next issue, and I definitely want to see if anything that happens here does get referenced in the
Mhm.
main book. Probably not in issue number two. I'm sorry, in One World Under Doom number two. It probably won't be then, but I do feel like the events that take place in this may end up figuring into the larger story in some way. So this does seem like it's a little bit more. When I say important, I don't mean like, oh, you have to rush out and get this, and if you don't, you won't understand anything of the main story. Nothing like that. But it does seem like it does hold a little bit more weight with the main story than maybe a couple other books. So it was cool, like the action and the artwork and the other characters that pop up. I was into it. So we have our A cover right here, and we have I love these. So this is the Torque. There's been a bunch of these. The Invisible Woman variant, and in this one she turned his armor
Mhm.
invisible. So I guess he just wears his undies under his
His
armor.
robot undies.
Yeah. And we have this Bertram variant with Iron Man and his big old sword. Really cool.
Next up, just quickly, I want to talk about Void Rivals number 17. And we don't always, I think I've covered most issues of Void
Mm-hmm.
Rivals on here, but it's been a consistent series. Robert Kirkman is doing a phenomenal job with it. But this issue is super important. So, this issue, and I didn't really
Oh,
expect it, is the origin of a lot of things. So we did see in a previous issue, Solila encountered Zerda, who is kind of their god, like they're the
yeah.
Zertonians or whatever. They're like named after, and she actually gets to talk to her and learns the origin of Zerda, which of course goes back to Cybertron, um, as well as we finally learn the true origin and the purpose of the sacred ring. The Void Rivals is there's a void and there's two rival sides to it. We learn what all of that is about. What is the void in between it? What are the two sides all about? Why are they opposing each other? Why is all of this so important? How it was all created? All of that is answered. So essentially, Void Rivals, even the title of it, is answered in this issue, which is huge. I mean, this is it doesn't feel like an info dump because the art is really cool. The pacing's really cool, but it is just like every panel is, oh, that's what that is. Oh, that's what that is. So that's really cool. And Salila is given kind of a sacred charge, a sacred mission from Zerta in this that is I feel like going to be the next big story of this, and the stuff in this could have ramifications throughout the Energon universe, bleeding into Transformers and GI Joe potentially. So yeah, I think this is a big deal issue of Void Rivals. If you've been reading it, you don't want to miss this issue. Big stuff going on.
Well, I wish I had brought that one home to read too.
I
I didn't read
know.
that one either.
I can't even talk to you about
I
it
know.
because it's so big. So we've got our A cover right here. We also have this Sismeja cover. We have this Connor Hughes 1 in 10 variant. We're selling for $4.99. And we have this 1 in 25 Joey Vasquez cover selling for $13.99, which almost seems more like a Transformers cover.
Yeah, I love Springer. So cool to see him there. All right, so next I have Hellhunters number 4, and I've just been having a great time with this series. This has been so much fun, and this issue is really really cool. This is the middle. I think actually this might be the next to last issue. I don't know if it's a 5 or 6 issue
Mm-hmm.
miniseries, but we're getting near the end. So I know nobody's going to jump in on this series with this issue, but if you have been reading it, you're really and enjoying it. You're really going to enjoy this one. So the Hellhunters, this is set back in World War II. The Hellhunters continue to fight against a big horde of Nazi demons, and actually, before they do, at the beginning of this, they fight against this big, just like weird looking creature that's made up of other Nazi demons. We saw that at the end of last issue. And it's just one big, the first half anyway, is just one big awesome action sequence. And my favorite part is Bucky and Ghost Rider 44 together.
Yeah.
Because Bucky is almost like, he's almost like a little psycho. He's like, yeah, I can't wait to, he's like, they kill, like some of the Nazis fall out of the monster and he's trying to cut their heads off.
Oh
And Nick
gosh.
Fury's like, Bucky, stop, man, relax. So Bucky's like, yeah, I don't want to kill. So he's almost like I've just never really seen Bucky like that before. But he and Ghost Rider 44 have a good little repertoire. They, he's riding on the back of Ghost Rider's motorcycle, and Ghost Rider's spinning his chain and cutting things in half. And then they do something even cooler when something happens to Ghost Rider's motorcycle.
Mhm.
They do something that's even cooler. Which when I saw it, I was like, "Oh, please tell me they do that." Turn the page. Yes, they do that.
He jumps on Bucky's back and
He turns Bucky into a big flaming vehicle. Yeah. So the first half of this is just like a really cool action. I don't remember his name, but the Soldier Supreme, the guy on the team who's the Soldier Supreme, he does something really cool too. Like, it's awesome. And then a little while later, they actually they're preparing to face off against the big Nazi demon horde, and the Hellhunters maybe get a little bit of help preparing for that battle. And there's another cool thing that Ghost Rider 44 does, and like, I don't know. I mean, I'm not really giving you any specific information, but like I said, this is near the end of the series. But I just wanted to talk about it because this was so much fun. I had a blast reading this. I like these characters together. I would love to see this series continue, or we get another one with these same characters. Like, it's just really, really fun. This is the only cover I have too. So yeah, just if you've been reading it, definitely don't miss this. This is probably my favorite one yet.
Next up, I've got Transformers issue number 18. So, not quite as big as Void Rivals, but a lot of big stuff does happen in this issue because things aren't going super well on Earth, especially for Ultra Magnus. He's got maybe some like PTSD
Mm.
or whatever that's definitely making it hard for him to adapt to things there. So, that part's really interesting. We also get more of the huge battle between Devastator and Bruticus as they are fighting, I think in Seattle, and just the overall destruction and mayhem that they're causing there as Optimus and some of the other Autobots are trying to save people. But all of that aside, uh, something happens at the end of this that we have been waiting a long time to get to that has been kind of teased all the way since back, I think, last Free Comic Book Day. Finally happens in this issue, and it's super cool. So don't miss out on Transformers number 18. We've got our A cover there. We have our, I believe this is the, make sure I get those right. Yeah, this is the Daniel Warren Johnson cover. We've got our, I think this is the Corona cover. We also have a 1 in 10 Carl Kerschel variant. We're selling for $4.99. We've got a 1 in 25 Bradican variant. We're selling for $12.99, which is really cool and super complex.
Yeah, I like that one.
And lastly, we have a 1 in 50 Ono variant. We're selling for $24.99.
All right, well, real quick, I've got X-Men number 8. No, I'm sorry, X-Men number 13, and this is, shoot, I didn't write that down. This is part 4 of the X-Men Hunt storyline. And in this one, this is a continuation, a direct continuation of the previous part of this, which was in Storm. I don't remember the number, but this is just one big fight between the X-Men and Storm and Professor X. The X-Men fight Storm over here, while Quentin Quire fights Professor X over here, and it's one of those when two Omega level psychics fight each other. It's more a battle of what's going on in their mind. Yeah, pretty much. But we see a lot of what's going on in their mind. There's some really cool imagery in there as well. And there's actually there's not really a whole lot more to say than that. Just it's one big fight. The artwork in this is amazing. Netho Diaz's artwork, I feel like every single issue is even better than the previous one. There is a great single page splash of Storm and Juggernaut facing off against each other. There's just, I mean, it's just a big fight. You know, I'm a little bit sick of the X-Men fighting each other all the time. I wish they'd fight some bad guy mutants, but the action we do get here in here is really really cool. You know, as the X-Men are trying to you know, they're trying to get Xavier back to Grey Malkin prison that he broke out of, but easier said than done, I guess. So we have our A cover right here, and we have a Peach Momoko variant. There is a Phil Noto connecting variant, and we have this 1 in 50 Edgecur variant that we're selling for $39.99. That's a really nice cover right there.
Next up for me, I've got Power Man Timeless issue number 2. So this very unique series following a free comic book day from a couple of years
I
ago.
want to say 2023, I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure.
with the version, this kind of futuristic version of Luke Cage that also has the powers of Sentry, Hulk, and
The Iron Fist.
Iron Fist. Yeah, his BFF Iron Fist. You know, now he's in a different universe. I guess we don't quite know where he has found himself.
He's not. He's definitely not in his own universe.
Right.
Yeah.
And in the last issue, he went up against Aeon, who's this character at the top here. Um, a lot of the stuff that happened last issue didn't fully understand. There was a heart inside of a thing,
Yeah.
and all we know is this Aeon guy is bad, and he is out to destroy everything. But we do learn in this one what Aeon, his backstory, and what he is, which does have a connection to the Marvel universe proper. Big action, you know, big kind of planet smashing fight scenes, all of that, and a big surprise character shows up at the end. I did not expect to ever see in this book. That I thought was really interesting. So, if you are interested,
I don't remember who it is. You can tell me afterwards.
Yeah,
I don't remember.
We've got our A cover here. Yeah, and if you enjoyed the first one, you'll definitely enjoy this one. And another also very mysterious giant organ in this one as well,
Right.
kind of like in the first one. We also have a Chris Allen variant, and that is it.
Well, next up, I've got X Factor number 8, and this is part 5 of the X-Man Hunt storyline. This storyline is only 8 parts, and we're already at 5 in just 2 weeks. So I actually kind of like this. It's a little bit more accelerated storytelling.
Yeah.
So and this picks up right on the heels of X-Men number 13. After that big fight between the X-Men and Storm, and X Factor shows up. Not a spoiler because it's their own book, right? But X Factor shows up to take Professor X back to Grey Malkin prison because they say he's a wanted fugitive and we work for the government, so it's our place to take him back. But you know, you can't have an X-Men book these days without without X people fighting each other. So this does lead to a fight between the X-Men and X Factor that lasts the entire issue. However, and that's pretty much all there is to say about the issue, except for the end, when Professor X reveals something that is one of the reasons why he's doing all this to begin with, and it's interesting. Like, I definitely want to know more. Like, I was kind of shocked at the thing that he revealed, and I have some theories on it. But yeah, I was like, oh, this could be a big deal. So a pretty interesting ending. I mean, the whole thing was cool because it's a bunch of big fighting. But then the ending, he's like, I'm going to show you something, and then he shows him something. He's like, oh my gosh. So yeah, that's pretty much it though. X Factor number 8, and that's the only cover we have.
Well, I only have one book left to talk about. That's Amazing Spider-Man number 69. This is the penultimate issue of this run before it gets the new number 1 coming up just about a week or so after the next issue. So getting close to wrapping up this 8 deaths of Spider-Man, which if you read the previous one, you know that Spider-Man died and it looked like for the last time.
He'd already used up all those reeds.
Yeah. But not a whole lot to say about this if you haven't been reading it. It's still, you've got a lot of the X-Men in there. Juggernaut, you've got a lot of backstory about the Children of Sidorak, all of that. And I will say this is maybe the first appearance or first cameo appearance of, is he called Jugger Spider or Spider Knot?
I think they're calling him Spider Knot.
Okay.
N-A-U-T, like Juggernaut, but Spider Knot. Yeah.
I like Jugger Spider. But yeah, this has the first kind of cameo where we'll definitely be getting more of him in the next one. I won't tell you who he is or how he comes about, but you'll have to read it to find out. Also, Ed McGuinness does the art on this, and the big pages that, the big action pages that he does look awesome in it. But, I'll be ready for this to wrap up and to try out the new #1 when it comes out fairly soon. Do we know when?
I want to say April 9th, I think. It's either the 2nd or the 9th. I think it's the 9th.
Okay, so yeah, I mean,
less than a month.
Less than a month away for the new Spider-Man #1. But you've got your A cover here, and Doom is in this issue.
Yeah.
A very kind of perturbed Doom.
Yeah.
So there's your A cover. We have this really cool Marvel Rivals variant with Penny Parker and Spider. We've got this Scotty Young variant where Spider-Man looks like he was flying a kite made of Shocker's mask. And we've got this Amanda Connor Invisible Woman variant.
I love that.
Which is really fun.
Yeah.
I like how everyone is, instead of fighting, they're all just stopping and looking at him.
Yeah.
And lastly, we have a 1 in 25. I did not get the name. I'm not sure if this is... But this is a 1 in 25, and their first name is Ben. We're selling for $24.99 with Black Cat on there, but I don't think Black Cat is in this issue.
Not in this one, no. Well, last for me is Deadpool #12, and I just wanted to talk about this one real quick. This is part 3 of the Pools of Blood storyline, which has been the crossover between Deadpool and Miles Morales Spider-Man. It's been bouncing back and forth between their two titles. This entire issue really is just Deadpool and Ellie and Spider-Man fighting against Agent Gal's two henchmen, Output and Midas. And the whole thing is a big fight, but I wanted to just mention it real quick because at the end of this, Agent Gal does take on a new costume and a new name, so I guess maybe you could consider it the first cameo appearance of this new persona of hers, if you're into that sort of thing. But yeah, just more big action with Deadpool, Miles Morales, and Deadpool's daughter. And this is our A cover right here, and we have this really cool Todd Knock Invisible Woman variant, which much like the Spider-Man one we just saw, she is, I don't know why she likes to make their legs disappear, but she's doing it to Deadpool too.
Do we know how many more parts of this?
One more. Yeah, one more. Part? Yeah, one more.
Well, that is it for our early comics review video. Thank you so much for watching. Again, head over to infinityflux.net where you can order these books. It's not even pre-ordering at this point. It is ordering them. That way you are guaranteed to get them while supplies last, because we do have limited supply of these books. So get in there, get there fast, and go ahead and order them so you don't miss out. Again, subscribe to our channel. We're so close to 4,000 subscribers. We would love to hit that before Free Comic Book Day, and then have a big Free Comic Book Day spectacular blowout like we do every year. It'll be really fun with 4,000 of you friends along for the ride. And we've got a lot of really cool other stuff coming up very, very soon. We've mentioned it before, but we're heading to Chicago for C2E2. Matt will be there with me at my table. And stop by if you are in the area and say hi, and say you're a bigger fan of this show than you are my comic artwork, something like that. But yeah, so many cool stuff coming up, so stay tuned right here for all of that. And until next time,
see ya.
See ya.